Python introduction. So these videos about Python is actually taken from W3 schools. So I'm here just to explain the Python tutorial taken from this site. So what is Python? Python is actually a popular programming language. It was created by Guido van Rossum and released in 1991. It is used for web development, the server side, software development, mathematics, and system scripting. What can Python do? So Python can be used on a server and create web applications, so similar to maybe PHP if you're familiar with PHP. And Python can be used alongside software to create workflows. So these are the things maybe that we can be able to learn in our next lessons. Python can connect to database systems. It can also read and modify files. Python can be used to handle big data and perform complex mathematics. That's why this is one of the reasons why Python is popular, because it can be used for data analytics. It is very rich in libraries or libraries that can be installed that will support handling of big data and perform complex mathematics. Python can be used for rapid prototyping or for production-ready software development. So there are a lot of things that Python can actually do. So why Python? Python works on different platforms. So it can be used on Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi, etc. That's why it's good to use Python. Python has a simple syntax similar to the English language. So you learn later on that the syntax of Python is actually very simple. Python has syntax that allows developers to write programs with fewer lines than some other programming languages, and that we'll be able to see in our next videos or lectures. Python runs on an interpreter system, meaning that code can be executed as soon as it is written. This means that prototyping can be very quick. Python can be treated in a procedural way, an object-oriented way, or a functional way. So it's actually a flexible programming language, and that's the reason why it is actually a popular language. So something good to know, the most recent major version of Python is Python 3, which we shall be using in these video tutorials. However, Python 2, although not being updated with anything other than security updates, is still quite popular. In this popular, Python will be written in a text editor. It is possible to write Python in an integrated development environment such as Tony, PyCharm, NetBeans, or Eclipse, which are particularly useful when managing larger collections of Python files. Or of course, we can just use any text editor like Notepad or Notepad++. Python syntax compared to other programming languages. So how do we compare Python syntax? Python was designed for readability and has some similarities to the English language with influence from mathematics. Python uses new lines to complete a command as opposed to other programming languages, which often use semicolons or parentheses. Python relies on indentation, so for us to be able to know what is a part of the block, we have to indent in Python. So using white spaces to define scope, such as the scope of loops, functions, and classes. So other programming languages often use curly brackets for this purpose. So again, instead of using curly brackets, we just indent. So once we indent, that means it is a part of a block. So that's why indentation is actually very important in Python. So Python, we get started. How do we get started with Python? So how do we install Python? So many PCs and Macs have Python already installed. To check if you have Python installed on a Windows PC, search in the start bar for Python or run the following on the command line, cmd Python and then version. So to check if you have Python installed on the Linux, or Mac. Then on Linux, open the command line, or on Mac, open the terminal and type Python and then version. So it's similar. If you find that you do not have Python installed on your computer, then you can download it for free from the following website: https://www.python.org. Or actually, you can just open your command line in Windows and then just type Python. And usually, if you don't have Python yet, the Microsoft, what do you call this one? Play Store, something similar to Play Store, will actually connect you to the link where you can download Python and install Python. So you just try that one. Just type Python in your command line. So Python Quickstart. Python is an interpreted programming language. This means that as a developer, you write Python or .py files in a text editor and then put those files into the Python interpreter to be executed. The way to run Python file is like this on the command line. So we just type Python. So Python here, followed by the file or Python file. So where hello world.py is the name of the Python file. Let's write our first Python file called hello world.py, which can be done in any text editor. So in this case now, you try to open your text editor. So let's say, for example, you are now through installing Python. So you open your text editor, and then once you have opened your text editor, you just type print, so open close hello world. Okay, then as simple as that. So save your file, open your command line, navigate to the directory where you save your file, and run Python and then hello world.py. So the output should be hello world. So that's all. Again, let's repeat. Just open your text editor, then type this text, so print hello world, and then save that file using this file name. After saving that file, and then just type Python and then the file name, and then that will produce your output. So after that, you have now produced your first Python program. The Python command line. To test a short amount of code in Python, sometimes it is quickest and easiest not to write the code in a file. This is made possible because Python can be run as a command line itself. So type the following on Windows or Mac or Linux command line. So just type Python. So if Python command did not work, you can try py. If that's, for example, it was renamed. So from there, you can write any Python, including our hello world example from earlier in the tutorial. So just print hello world, and then this will produce the hello world in the command line. So that's the output. So whenever you are done in the Python command line, you can simply type the following to quit the Python command line interface. You just type exit. So that's all. That's our introduction. So I'll just demonstrate that. So we just open our command line in Windows. So just type Python. So I have already Python installed. So, but what is better is you change your directory to where you would like to place your Python file. So I will just be doing the interpreted Python. So we have print. Then we have hello world. So once we press enter key, then it will produce the output. Then to exit, we just type exit, open close, enter. So that will now exit our Python interpreter. Okay, so thank you very much for viewing this video. So now it's now your time to install and test your Python interpreter. Thank you very much.